Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Andrew from Dividend Growth Masters. This is a topic that a lot of people have been requesting, so I wanted to make a video about it to discuss my thoughts on it. So, if you're a dividend investor, obviously you have plans to retire on your dividend portfolio, right? That's the great thing about dividend investing. If you build a portfolio that's big enough, you can just live on the dividend payments that you receive every month or every quarter. And this is especially true with good dividend stocks that are able to pay and increase their dividends over multiple decades. So the question then becomes, how big does your portfolio need to be in order to retire off your dividend income? So the way you calculate that is just through a simple formula. The size of your portfolio needed is just your annual expense rate divided by your dividend yield. And that's the average dividend yield of your portfolio. So let's say you have, $35,000 as your annual expense rate. That includes things like your rent, your eating expenses, groceries, restaurants, entertainment, that sort of thing. And let's say you have an average yield of 2.5% on your portfolio. So this means you will need a portfolio of $1.4 million to be able to retire off that dividend yield. Now, obviously, there are two ways to decrease the size of your portfolio needed. The first one is you can just decrease your annual expense rate. Instead of 35,000, maybe you can live off 30,000. In which case you would only need 1.2 million to retire off that portfolio. The other way to do it is just to increase the yield of your portfolio. Let's say instead of 2.5%, your average portfolio yield is now 3%. So you'll only need about 1.2 million to reach retirement. Now, obviously, there are benefits and downsides of each one that I just mentioned. If you decrease your annual expense rate, then the quality of your retirement will decline. And if you try to increase the yield of your portfolio too high, then it could have very bad results if the yields is not sustainable. Let's say you were targeting a 4% yield on your portfolio. That's really high. Most stocks don't even yield 4% for the dividend, so it's very hard to be able to maintain that yield throughout your portfolio. So keep that in mind. You need to have a good balance between your expense rates and also a safe dividend yield across your dividend yield average for your entire portfolio. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned yet when it comes to this formula is the tax rate. And this is because everybody's tax rate is different because your level of income in retirement will be different as well. But basically, you would take, to calculate, you would basically need to modify the dividend yield. Let's say instead of 2%, let's say you're in a 15% tax bracket. So instead of a 2% yield, you're going to have a 2.5 times 0.85. You're going to have a 2.13% yield. So that's basically how you modify the dividend yield to account for the taxes that you'll be paying. And obviously that'll lower the yield as well. Anyways, I hope you found this video helpful. This is a very simple equation to basically estimate how much you need, how big your portfolio needs to be in order to accommodate you in retirement based on your annual expense rate and the dividend yield of your portfolio. Now, the hardest part I think about using this formula is just getting your annual expense rate right, because obviously you aren't in retirement now, but you hope to be in the future. But it's kind of hard to be able to estimate what your expense rates will be in the future. So my best advice is to just leave yourself with a little margin of safety when estimating your annual expense rate. So just estimate them to be a little bit higher than what you actually think they'll be. That way you have a little cushion in case something goes wrong. And if you like this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I try to post as much content as possible related to dividend investing, passive income, and just investing in general. If you want to learn more about those topics, be sure to check out my website, dividendgrowthmasters.com, or any of my online courses, and be sure to sign up for my email list as well. I'll see you guys next time.